to call the Rockdale County Board of Education work session to order. Tonight, I would like to begin with a moment of silence for two of our RSPS families members we have lost recently. Specifically, we remember Janetta Gooseby, a paraprofessional who worked in RCPS for 6 years, serving the Shoal Creek Elementary School community, and Quintavious Brown, a school resource officer with the Rockdale County Sheriff's Office, who served Heritage High School for a period. We send our sincere condolences to their family and friends, and as you keep them in your thoughts and prayers. And not only the two that we mentioned tonight, but anyone else amongst us that maybe be mourning the loss of a loved one. So at this time, we'll take a moment of silence. Amen. Do I hear a motion to approve the agenda as presented? Do I hear a second? A motion to approve the agenda has been made by Janie Jones and second by Heather Duck. Is there any discussion? All in favor? No opposed. The motion is approved by a 7-0 vote. We will now recognize visitors who would like to address the board, and we do have a few. This is the time when we allow citizens 3 minutes to address the board. Please feel free to submit any documents to the board. Registered speakers may not assign or yield their speaking time to other speakers. We do not normally address your concerns today, but we may ask the administration to address your concerns and provide you with an appropriate response. If your topic involves personnel matter, or if you contend that your legal right has been violated, we have specific grievance procedures for these matters. Speakers should be professional, and we respectfully ask that you refrain from using profane or vulgar language. And you should not make threats, slanderous remarks, or engage in behavior that disrupt the decorum of this meeting. By submitting a request to comment card, you acknowledge and agree that you understand and will follow the guidelines for the meeting decorum and public participation, which was listed on the comment card you completed. I would like to welcome Mr. George Kellercheck.
Good evening, Superintendent, board members, guests, citizens of Rockdale County. Just a few items regarding Rockdale Soil Water Conservation District. In front of you, you have a flyer. Every month we try to have a guest speaker, and I'm proud to announce that we have Mr. Blaine Allen, your Director of Nutrition for the school system, will be our guest speaker this Friday, the 24th at 8:30 a.m. We're looking forward to all of his information, and we're looking at other avenues of how we can, from our soil and water district, support nutrition in all of our schools throughout Rockdale County. Last month, we had the USDA NRCS officials from Washington, D.C., the state of Georgia, and Athens and Atlanta present the Urban Gardening and Initiative and Innovative Production of Land presentation through our Young Farmers and Ranchers program, and we had 7 individuals that attended out of 50 sign up for this program, where if you have 1/100th of an acre and you abide by the rules and regulations of that program, you can get subsidies for growing fruits and vegetables through the USDA. Next, we are working with Georgia Department of Transportation. I'm proud to announce we have our first wildlife pollinator 1-acre planting that will go on I-20 east of Sigmund and Irish Drive, along with other plantings that we'll do on the interchanges here in Rockdale County. Next, we have, I visited with several folks out at Barksdale Elementary, LaShonda Hawkins, who heads up the gifted program. She wanted to start a garden there. She previously was at Honey Creek, and I provided her the Perry's Lazy Garden System, and we're going to be initiating that next week. where you don't have to till up any garden area for that, but that's what we're looking at in the future. And then finally, we are looking at, with the assistance of Georgia Department of Transportation, doing a wildlife pollinator planting that fronts Honey Creek Road with the permission of this board and Mr. Budenseek, because if we can do this as a pilot project, it would be paid for through GDOT, and it would be an educational learning system for all students. And it would then reduce Mr. Budenseek's budget for all this grass that he has to cut at all these different schools. So we'll start our first one at Honey Creek Elementary, we hope, and then move forward from there. And then finally, we are starting with Global Growers, a mobile farmers market. So we're bringing more information to you on that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Kellercheck. Next, we have Ms. Casey McCray.
Greetings to the board and also my fellow concerned parents that came out today. I'm coming before you guys as a concerned parent. I became a part of the Rockdale County Public Schools in 2019. I relocated from DeKalb. One of the reasons we were drawn to this community was because of the, I guess, the good things that were said about the Rockdale school systems. So we wanted to provide our kids with those opportunities. But since being here since 2019, I've seen a huge decline in what I thought was an amazing experience for my children. When I walk into the schools, I have lots of concerns. Where it comes down to the simple things is our rules and our policies, they're not being held. They're not being stand upon, where these kids are at adrift, if you will. And I also speak from an educational standpoint as well, because I am a program director for your Boys and Girls Club here in Conyers. So I deal with your kids when they come from the school. So I'm seeing where the lack of disconnect with our educators and our children, where they're falling short as far as them reading on school levels, even doing math at the school level, where our kids are being pushed through the system. And I see the struggle when I'm working with your juniors and your seniors when they're trying to get to that crossing point to graduate and having an understanding of what their next steps are. And they just don't have the support that we had when we were growing up, when we had our families and extra support outside of the school system to push us to go there. So I'm just coming to you guys, deploring you guys, please find a way to get our kids back to where they need to be, because we're going to see a very big drought when it comes to not even our kids graduating and being educated, but who's coming behind us to sit in your seats. These kids are not being prepared to help us grow into a better world, if that makes sense. So I just want to come today to bring that to you guys' attention, that the need is there and we need to work and really buckle down and really focus on what our kids aren't doing, what they aren't receiving in these school systems, because the need is really there and it's getting very scary. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, and Mr. Cedric McCray.
Good evening, board. Good evening, everyone from Rockdale County. My name is Cedric McCray. I'm a business owner downtown Conyers, and then my wife has already addressed some of the concerns and issues. But my main concern and my main issue is about the disciplinary action among our kids in Rockdale County. At Heritage High School, there's a group of young men right now that has been out of school for the past 25 days due to a disciplinary action, which we all know fighting is in the handbook. But the way that rule is written up, the school has the option to either send them to the alternative school, or the principal may have leeway to return these students to school. When it comes to these kids in school, are we looking at education, or are we looking at sending these kids the problem child away? A bunch of these young men, some of them have never been in trouble before. And I'm not just speaking about my son, because he's one of them. Never been in trouble, good kid, friends, great kids. But they had to sit home for 20 days for a hearing that should have only been maybe 3 to 4 days. The school has failed them when it comes to education. The disciplinary board sentence all of those kids, and my key word is sentence because it sounds like a prison sentence. Sentence them to the disciplinary school until the end of this year's semester, which ends in December, if I'm correct. So my thing is, what are we going to do when we have little situations that are turning these kids from coming to these adults and talking to us, trying to find out, trying to stay in school? Maybe I did wrong. They have no one to come to. They have no one to speak for them. So I'm speaking for these parents, and I would encourage you guys to please go up to the school, because the other thing that I'm here to speak about is the standards that we have in school. I go to Heritage not once, but 3 or 4 times a week because I have a total of 4 kids in Heritage. And I had a total of 9 kids, to be exact. All our kids are great kids. And I'm not talking about my kids. I'm talking about the kids that are in Rockdale County. But they need some kind of leadership. They need somewhere. The leadership is failing them. When you go up to Heritage High School, pants falling off your waistline. When you go up to Heritage High School, you still see young ladies with halter tops. I know that's in the handbook. I signed that handbook. Not once, but 4 times this year. So at the end of the day, what are we doing to push those standards? I could have, when I spoke to the principal, I asked him, so we can do Uber Eats. We have kids ordering food outside of the school system that's coming to the school. And these are not allegations, these are facts. And I would challenge any one of you board members to please go and look into these situations, because there should not be any other outside entity coming into our school system. Whether it's a parent, whether it's someone off the streets bringing in food. That's why we have a nutrition system. So please, I challenge you all, please look into these things at these schools. Please look into the disciplinary. Please hold our administrative, the people you hire, accountable, so that we can hold these parents accountable. Because if I look back, these are some empty seats. Thank you.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is Superintendent's Cabinet Update. Superintendent Shetzer, please introduce your cabinet and provide your update.
Well, good evening, Madam Chair Jackson-Lett, Madam Vice Chair Jones, and to our board members. I'll begin by wishing you all a happy Bosses Day and thank you for the work that you do as a governance team. And might I add, a 10th time exemplary board governance team. So congratulations to you for reaching that milestone as well. But first up tonight, we have several presentations, and we'll begin with our financial services update with our Chief Financial Officer, Ms. Joycelyn Smith.
Good evening, Madam Chair Jackson-Lett, Vice Chair Jones, board members, Superintendent Chesser, Cabinet, staff, and guests. Tonight, I'll be bringing the preliminary financial report for the month of September. Our revenues for September were $10.7 million. Last year, this time, we were at 10.9. Year to date, we were at 30.8 this year, at representing 13.5% of the budget, and 30.5 last year this time, representing 14% of the budget. The expenditures for the month were $19.4 million, $54.5 million year to date, representing 23.4%. The expenditures last year this time were $18.6 for the month, $53.4 million year to date, representing 24.1% of the budget. Our open encumbrances are $3,570,601. The fund balance is $5,326,012. Last year, we were sitting at $5,677,062. On our balance sheet, we have assets in the amount of $9,473,065, liabilities at $4,147,053, and the fund balance again is $5,326,012. Tonight, I'll also be bringing 5 action items. The first action item is the FY26 Title I allocation adoption of the budget. The recommendation, the superintendent will recommend that the Rockdale County Board of Education adopt the FY26 Title I proposed allocation as presented. The rationale: by state law, the board is required to annually adopt the Title I allocation. The financial impact: Title I improving academic achievement in the award amount of $5,106,433, and the Title I school improvement award at $100,000. The next action item, which is a series of items that are related to our VIVA, that first action item is the VIVA plan transition. The recommendation is the superintendent recommends that the Rockdale County Board of Education approve the assignment of Cannon Financial Group as the consultant responsible for transitioning the district's Voluntary Employee Benefits Association, VIVA plan. This transition includes the custodian change from Truist to Schwab, trustee change from Truist to Terry Taylor of Benefits Law Group, investment manager change from Sterling or Guardian Capital to Cannon Financial Group. Truist formally notified the district of its intent to terminate its role as custodian and trustee in accordance with the plan agreement. Cannon Financial proposes a new structure for the plan, with Schwab serving as custodian, Terry Taylor as trustee, and Cannon as investment manager. Sterling or Guardian Capital will be provided with a 30-day written notice to facilitate this transition. The rationale: since the VIVA's plan's inception in 1983, SunTrust, now Truist, has served as both custodian and trustee. Until May of last year, investment management was handled by Sterling Capital, a Truist subsidiary, which was later sold to Guardian Capital. Truist has issued a 60-day written notice of termination without extension, requiring the district to take action. This transition allows the district to responsibly manage the plan's assets and explore strategic options for addressing the overfunded liability. Approval of this recommendation will formally acknowledge the dissolution of the trust with Truist and authorize updates to the plan's custodian, trustee, and investment manager. And it's budget neutral. The next recommendation is for the VIVA custodian. Recommendation: the superintendent recommends that the Rockdale County Board of Education approve the assignment of Schwab as the custodian of the district's Voluntary Employee Benefits Association plan. Rationale: since the VIVA plan's inception in 1983, SunTrust, now Truist, has served as both the custodian and trustee. Truist has issued a 60-day written notice of termination without extension, which requires the board to appoint a new VIVA custodian. Financial impact: budget neutral. Action item: VIVA trustee. Recommendation: the superintendent recommends that the Rockdale County Board of Education approve the assignment of Terry Taylor of Benefits Law Group as a trustee for the Rockdale County Public Schools Voluntary Employee Benefits Association plan. Since the VIVA's plan's inception in 1983, SunTrust, now Truist, has served as both custodian and trustee. Truist has issued a 60-day written notice of termination without exception, which requires the board to appoint a new trustee for the VIVA plan. Financial impact, again, budget neutral. And the last one, action item: VIVA investment manager. Recommendation: the superintendent recommends that the Rockdale County Board of Education approve the assignment of Cannon Financial Group as the investment manager for the district's Voluntary Employment Benefits Association plan. Rationale: since the VIVA plan's inception in 1983, Truist has served as both custodian and trustee. Sterling Capital, a Truist subsidiary, served as the investment manager until it was later sold to Guardian Capital in May 2024. Truist has issued a 60-day written notice of termination without extension, which requires the board to appoint a new investment manager. Financial impact: budget neutral. That concludes my action items. Have any questions? And the ask is that we vote on the VIVA stuff tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, up next, we have Mrs. Ball from the Community Impact Division.
Good evening, Board Chair Jackson-Lett, Vice Chair Jones, board members, and guests. And at this time, I'm going to ask Mrs. Baskett to please join me. We would like to introduce you to the Magnet 4-8 program, which is the Rockdale Magnet School for Science and Technology expansion. This is their 25th year anniversary. And so to celebrate that, we're going to expand it. And you each have a flyer, and you also have the FAQs, which I know you just got. So I'm sure I can see Mrs. Duncan's head going, I have a million questions. You're welcome to ask them this evening, or you can certainly email us after you have a chance to look at this. But we did want to share with you that we are going to have an open house October 30th, which everyone is welcome to attend as well, and give a little overview of the program and share with the parents what to expect, and then also give them a little opportunity to visit a science lab and get a little taste of that STEM atmosphere. So is there anything else you want to add to that right now? It's kind of I know you're just getting the FAQs, which is why I know you probably don't have a lot of questions right now, but if you have any, we're happy to answer them.
I do have a question.
Sure.
I was looking at the information and I don't see anything in here about parental involvement. Would there be a piece in there required that parents participate in supporting the school?
Yeah, it is. Parent involvement is in here. I think it's on like the second page, but we don't know about a requirement as far as, yes, we are strongly encouraging. We're not totally positive about a requirement at this point. But yes, parent involvement will be a key component to this program. Absolutely.
And I noticed that the anticipated admitting 100 students per grade level, right?
Up to.
Up to.
Yes.
So we just had our retreats, and in that retreat, I learned that if we don't have at least 500 students in a school, is that correct?
Depends on the particular, the grade band, but yes, ma'am, elementary, we were referencing elementary, it was about 450.
450?
Yes, ma'am.
So will we still be under that requirement to make sure that we receive the FTE funding? Is that correct?
Well, that is definitely a major consideration for our program. And I think as the team or the committee finalizes those pieces, you will see that that is definitely built into our plan to ensure that we are maximizing the funding and earning the appropriate dollars to make sure that the staffing needs are fully addressed. And so they are making sure those last minute details are secured. And then we have some logistics and also some facility pieces that we are ironing out at this point, Mrs. Brown. But yes, ma'am, that is definitely a top priority to ensure that funding is.
Okay, so I would like more information,
Sure.
especially on how this will impact other schools that are in the county, because of course those students will have to come from other schools in our county, which means it will lower the number of students in those schools, how that will impact. So whenever, as soon as possible, so that I can support this,
Sure.
I want to sit down with you and ask a lot of questions that I already have just from reading this information. I'm sure you have the answers, but I would like more information.
And one of the things that Mrs. Ball, and she was anxious to get this out because of the pending open house, but she knows that there is that need to really sit down and go over the finite details with our board. So definitely Mrs. Brown and to our board, there will be that time to really go through the plan itself, because what you'll see is there is a comprehensive plan that is in design right now. It's being finalized. That what she will tell you, or the team will tell you, is that they have had several focus groups to provide that feedback. There have been a lot of different facility visits to look at that. They have talked with HR. So there are a lot of pieces that are at play right now, but the team wanted to get the information out about the open house, and I told her
Coming up.
the open house is coming up, and she wanted to get that out so that our parents and our community members have that opportunity to hear about it and to plan to attend the open house. But in terms of all of that important information, yes, ma'am, we will make sure you have all of that.
Yep.
And have that opportunity to sit down in a group to hear all of those details.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And I guess you're gonna have a small group
Yes,
for
ma'am.
all of us, because I do have some, as far as teachers, how we're gonna reassign
Yes, ma'am.
teachers and bus routes, and I see here extra activities and how we're gonna get that and make sure we manage them getting to and from.
Yep.
So,
So you'll be proud of me. I have no questions.
Yeah.
I look forward to the 30th, Amanda and Cindy.
Thank you so much. We're excited, looking at a 25-year history at Magnet and the possibilities for our county with looking at expanding advanced academics and STEM through this expansion to 4th through 8th grade. So thank you. We look forward to the questions. The focus groups have been exciting so far. And the community engagement is going to be key because it's going to be built around real world problem solving. And
Ms. Baskett, step up to the microphone if you
I'm
don't
so
mind.
sorry.
please.
Yes. So thank you so much again for the questions. Thank you, Ms. Duncan. We look forward to having as many of you as possible with us on the 30th, but certainly looking forward to continuing that engagement that we've had with our focus groups as we look to expand the vision of Rockdale Magnet School High School has been growing STEM scholars, really truly STEM leaders of accelerated change. And we know that we have many students who are ready for that challenge even earlier. And we're excited but including community partnership will be key in that real world problem solving that is going to ground what truly makes it unique at the 4-8 level. So very excited to continue the discussion.
So I have one more question. You mentioned that you had focus groups.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you share with us, not names, but who did you have on the focus groups? Like, what were they? Parents? Were they business? People, students? I would like to know who was on the focus group and how did you determine that those people should be a part of it?
So we have had 3 formal focus groups so far.
Mhm.
One was with existing staff at Rockdale Magnet School, High School, and which includes stakeholders who are also parents. But beyond that, we have had 2 community-based focus groups. One that really included parents who are currently in the school district, as well as community leaders and alumni. Parents of alumni as well. We have had some initial conversations with both alumni of the Magnet School as well as some small groups of 4 and 8 students. But our 3rd formal focus group included representatives more from the business community, as well as our Chamber of Commerce, and looking at partnerships there, and also included some 4-8 educators. We do have 2 additional focus groups planned right now, which include district leaders across grade levels, and that will be coming up next week. Yes, and the community-based group where the Chamber of Commerce was also included parents of who have currently selected homeschool or private school options for their children. Trying to make sure that we look at both stakeholders who are currently a part of our school district and maybe those who have opted not to choose differently, to make sure we're getting feedback across all community stakeholders. And then in addition to the district leaders focus group that's planned, we're also working to recruit a broader stakeholder group, focus group for 4th through 8th grade teachers as well.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Brown.
One quick question, and I
Yes, sir.
apologize if y'all have said this or it's in the FAQ. I'm trying to read and listen at the same time, but is this anticipated to be a full-time program or will the students primarily stay at their home school? Full-time? Okay. Thank you.
I do have another question.
Go ahead. Yes, ma'am.
So the model that you have you had the opportunity to visit other models that may already be up and running in the state of Georgia or closely by so that you could get ideas and make sure that you consider things that maybe the community just may not even know about?
Yes, ma'am. So that's a huge part. We want to make sure that we're looking at the best of the best that are out there so that we can take their models and go even to the next level with it. So we've had the opportunity to visit STEM programs that serve middle grades, not just in Georgia, through both collaboration with the STEM Georgia and those certified schools at the K-8 level, but also in places as far as Phoenix, Arizona.
Mhm.
We have the opportunity in January to be at a top school in Miami to be able to see their models there. So we're looking at what's been effective, both at the K-8 model, but we're also trying to take the best of the innovative research that has worked at the high school model and see how we can build foundational pieces for that in K-8. But there are some top great schools around, whether it's Kittredge Middle School and some other places that have focused on advanced academics in Georgia that can be used as a model. And so we've done a fairly comprehensive crosswalk of what makes them unique, where their successes are, and looking at taking the best of that to meet our community needs now and expand us even further.
And have we considered business partners that can sponsor this school, that can make sure we have the state-of-the-art resources to make sure that this program is robust in the way that we would want it to be?
Yes, we are, that is an ongoing effort, but I will tell you, we did get our first Snapping Shoals grant for a 3D printer. So we are working it, and yes, that is definitely an ongoing process. If you need a partner with your business, let me know.
Well, when you talk to me about it, I'll be glad to sit down with you.
You're on my list.
We also have a commitment from Georgia Bioscience where we have a full lab that has been donated with equipment from a current research facility that is moving. So we'll have access to state-of-the-art freezers, incubators, as well as table equipment space. So we've secured that as well for the middle grades program.
This is exciting. Okay. Don't leave me out. I want to be involved.
Yes, ma'am.
Mhm.
So I do have a few questions. So the timeline for applying for this program, that will begin in November, end in December,
Yes, sir.
and then the kids will be notified in March or February when they are accepted to the program.
We expect to be able to notify our families by mid-February, if not a little sooner. So in order to register and schedule our students into classes, as well as to meet the staffing needs that have been shared earlier, to make sure that we're in alignment overall, that is our timeline. We'll have notifications by mid-February.
So by mid-February, we should have a good idea of what the enrollment number of the possible 500, that's from what my math says, 400 for each grade would be a total of 500. We'll know what that number will be
Yes, sir.
mid-February. And then we'll know what that draw is off of our other elementary and middle schools.
Yes, sir. We're
Okay.
excited to find who are going to be those mavericks to take this step forward with this new 4 through 8 program. And we'll be able to have that data with you by that early of next semester.
Okay, thank you.
So the ITBS and the COGAT is coming up, right? Testing for that is coming up? Okay.
Yes. So that was early October. So they've already taken that, Ms. Brown.
Madam Chair, I have one quick question. To ensure equity with opportunity, how are we informing the public that this open house is coming up?
Well, we are going to use Parent Square first because that goes directly to everyone who is in the system. I also have some direct marketing abilities to share with families that choose homeschool currently. And the rest, we're going to pepper the public with information to hopefully, infiltrate the community so that those who are not either in Parent Square or my homeschool group will also get the information.
We will also be at the Fall Festival and
Great.
other community events.
That makes me
So
smile.
we'll be here this Saturday, and we actually have a couple of different challenges, including solar car challenges and Lego building brick challenges, where we'll be keeping a leaderboard across the day to engage our younger students with our current high school ambassadors. So we're excited to be able to invite the community to open house at Fall Festival and across other community events. So you'll
Thank
see
you.
us out and about.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I think I'm gonna, okay, so strategic plan update. We dove into this a little bit in your recent board retreat, but I just want to go through some of these slides again for our public so that they know where we're at with our strategic plan. You can see the timeline. We began phase 1 of implementation in the 2022-23 school year. And now we are currently in phase 2 of implementation in the 25-26 school year. We are also meeting with potential external facilitators and gathering information on what our options are for facilitating the next plan, as next year will be a planning year at the same time it is the final implementation year of the current plan. So I say all that to say this current plan is kind of wrapping up, and next year we will be diving into the planning of the next 5-year plan. So again, you can see we this year have to budget for next year for that external facilitator for our next plan. And you can see here is a little more detail in the timeline. We're researching our options right now, meeting with potential facilitators. And then this winter and spring, we'll budget for that external facilitator. In the spring, we will choose who that's going to be, whether we're going to stay with our current model, which is GSBA's model, or go with a different external facilitator. 26-27 will be our planning year for that 27 to 2032, that sounds so far away, strategic plan. And then the final implementation of 22-27 plan, the current one, will happen through the next school year as well. And the phase 1 of implementation of the next plan will begin July 1st of 2027. So it sounds like it's far away, but it's really not. Next school year is the planning year. The periodic update for the action teams, you can see we recently convened the action teams in May to do that, and they reviewed all of the action plans and performance measures. They also suggested revisions to those plan steps, and they determined if they were complete and ongoing or if they were in progress. I printed for you in your packets, or actually for the board retreat, you have all of these slides. So I didn't reprint them for you, but tonight what I have given you in your packet is, or a couple of things. One is what I'm going to call kind of a cheat sheet, right? For something easy for you to look at. So when you see on a slide, on an action plan, or an action item for you to vote on at the bottom, and you see the relevant strategic plan item, it'll say strategic plan goal area, say 5, initiative objective A, initiative 1, then you can look at the document you have there and you can go, oh, it's right here. This is 5A1 or 2A3 or, whatever the corresponding is. So that way you're not just seeing the numbers on the slides, but you have a quick reference to what that actually is in the plan. So hopefully that will help you as you hear about us when we present and tie it to the strategic plan. You can have that right in front of you. The other thing that I printed out for you that somebody mentioned at the retreat that you would like is the entire balance scorecard. You can do that right from the website. You can print it right from the website, so all of our public can access everything that I have printed for you on our website. And the balance scorecard is where we keep track of the measures. And as I mentioned at the retreat, what we have for each initiative, we have a measure tied to it. And the measure, you can see year over year, you have your base year, which was, our initial year, and then you have a target set and then an actual. The actual column is where you're going to see, did we meet it? Did we not meet it? Or did we maybe meet the overall objective, but not the actual target So that's where the red, the green, and the yellow come in. So I went ahead and printed that whole thing for you, all of those pages that you can look at any time. But again, for our public who may be watching and want to find that, you can go to our website under the About tab, go to Strategic Plan. And when you pull the plan up, it's called the Balanced Scorecard. Okay. Now, I do have in tonight's PowerPoint the 13 or so slides that I brought to the board retreat, but I'm not going to go through all of those. So what I thought I would do is just do some highlights under each goal area for you. So goal area 1 is the human resources and talent development goal area. And again, what you see in the PowerPoint is the ongoing artifacts and evidence, right, over the lifespan of the plan. If you go on the website, all of those artifacts and evidence are there. So in a presentation format, it's a little easier to put it in a PowerPoint. What is gray in the PowerPoint is the ongoing. What is in a true black font are things that we haven't presented that may be new to you. So if you want to look at the new stuff. So that's where I pulled some of the highlights from, and I didn't even pull all the highlights because there are a lot of them, particularly under the student learning, achievement, and growth goal area, as it should be. There should be a lot of artifacts and evidence under that. But human resources and talent development is all about recruitment, retention, and also professional learning. All comes up under human resources and talent. So you can see some of the highlights offering the hiring incentive for the school psychologist. You can see all of the recruiting efforts in our local area, in the state, and even beyond the state. And then the ongoing extensive professional learning opportunities that are presented to you for both classified and certified staff, and the continuation of the Real Academy, or all evidence and artifacts. For the student learning, achievement, and growth area, there are a lot of professional learning evidence and artifacts up under this, as you could imagine. You can see we talk about the cycle for results, and you also hear from our teaching and learning, or I guess it's leading and learning now, so excuse me, our leading and learning division. Almost every board meeting, you're hearing from them. And so you'll see their artifacts and evidence, and you can tie it to what they're presenting. And you can see there are a couple of pages here talking about expansion. Here is where under this one is also the expansion for the magnet school down to 4-8. That is actually tied to a specific initiative to expand elementary and middle theme schools. So that is sitting in this one as well, the student learning, achievement, and growth. Highlights from community, family, and student engagement. Our websites were specifically mentioned in our strategic plan to renew all of our websites and update them. So that has been completed. Again, some of these are kind of checklist items in the strategic plan, but some of them, they're a little difficult to say they're complete because they continue on. We like to say complete and ongoing. The rollout of Parent Square communication tool you see in here, and then you can see some of the community collaborative efforts as well, even having a PIO quarterly meeting here with all of our local PIOs, bringing in the focus groups in the community for feedback, and just, again, artifacts and evidence to show that we are continuing the efforts for community engagement. The culture and climate, and I know Ms. Fallon is here to speak to you tonight, mental health services, and also all of the social emotional sits in this particular goal area, as well as school safety. So there are a lot of artifacts and evidence with regard to, the addition of Open Gate at the elementary level, and then additional ones at the secondary schools. I know Ms. Fallon's going to speak to you tonight about SEL. So there are a lot of things that are captured under culture and climate that have to do with culture and climate in schools, but also the school safety sits up under that. Operational effectiveness and efficiency. This is where you're going to see the budget and financial initiatives. And then also, this is one that probably has pages and pages of artifacts and evidence, because this is where it does get almost laundry list with operations and the things that they do to improve facilities. All of that is going to sit up under operational effectiveness and efficiency. Technology is also going to be found up under operational effectiveness and efficiency. I know Mr. Rosen talks about, upgrading firewalls, and then also the deployment and the refreshment of computers and laptops for our students and staff. So all of that is going to be found under operational effectiveness and efficiency. So with that, I'm going to pause for questions if there are any. And I'm not going to make you sit through the 120 slides unless you just want to. Okay, thank you.
All right, well, while that's pulling up, good evening, Chairwoman Jackson-Lett, Vice Chair Jones, members of the board, Superintendent Chesser, our parents and guests tonight. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak about social emotional learning. No matter what our role as educational leaders, community stakeholders, parents, we all share the same goal, and that's to prepare our students not only for academic achievement, but for success in life. And that's why I want to talk with you about social emotional learning, or SEL, as we call it, a foundational component of education that directly supports student well-being, school climate, and long-term success. SEL isn't an extra or a trend. It's an evidence-based, scalable, and deeply aligned with what we all want to see: improved academic outcomes, reduced behavioral issues, stronger mental health supports, and schools where students feel safe, seen, and supported. So this has been part of our mission and strategic plan. The line in our mission, the mission of RCPS, is to educate and empower all students by meeting their individual academic, behavioral, emotional, and social needs. And then our strategic plan goal area, as Cindy just mentioned, in area 4, the positive culture and climate, adapt to the changing social and emotional behavioral needs of our students, staff, and families. So within my department, of course, we have the school counselors, and so each year they have to develop a comprehensive school counseling plan. And so they meet with their administrators the first month of school, look at the school improvement goals, look at their data, and they have to create a plan that addresses these 3 domains: academic standards, career development standards, and of course the SEL is going to fall in that personal social development standard. Just some examples: understanding self, respect for others, interpersonal skills, safety, and survival skills. So these plans are approved by the building level administrator, and then they're submitted to the county office where we review those as well. So the meat of the social emotional learning program, our school counselors follow a district monthly calendar of topics and events. So that's provided to them at the beginning of the year, and it outlines month by month what they are to touch on. And in August and September, it really is about the personal connection with our students, not so much the programs or the digital content. And that's based on some feedback from our students. They really like it when they are able to talk with a school counselor or social worker face to face. So they do push into the classrooms at all levels, so elementary, middle, and high. And so we charge them with focusing on 2 things at elementary and middle, which would be the SEL and the attendance, of course, because that's a huge focus for us this year. And then they also touched on scholarships and other post-secondary topics at the high school level. So that's also a time where we set up our Quaver SEL, which I'll talk more about in a second. That's our elementary school SEL program. And then second step is what we've been using at middle school for quite some time. During these 2 months of August and September, they also talk about suicide at middle school and high school. We have the Signs of Suicide program that we've used for several years now. And then we talk more in a frame of resiliency at the elementary level and coping skills. Another piece that's mandated by law, Aaron's Law, which teaches about personal body safety and how to report abuse. So that has to occur within the first 2 months of school. So each school counseling program this year, we asked them to submit a monthly wellness plan to the district counseling office. And so this is based on a needs assessment of their school. So the plans are going to look different school to school. And our counselors have come up with some really, really wonderful ideas. Some of the examples, one of our schools is having 2 wellness summits this year, in addition to many other things, but that's the big event that they're having. Wind Down Wednesdays, Wellness Wednesdays, Tear Away the Tension events, putting out puzzles, coloring books, things where our kids can just sort of disconnect when they need to, because we know that they get really stressed out. So what I love to with some of the plans that I saw, some of the counselors also incorporated staff activities each month, which that's so important for our staff as well. And I love that we have an extended family now with our behavioral support department. So, working with them this year with some of those same goals is going to be wonderful, including with PBIS. All right, so at the elementary level, we use Quaver SEL. We've been using it for, I think, 3 years now. And this is a really interactive, fun program that our kids love. And so you can see this is the dashboard when a teacher logs in. So every teacher can log into that. And there are activities, interventions, and our kids love it because it's all just click and play. And it usually starts off with a really catchy song, a lesson, an activity. And we've received a lot of great feedback. Even our teachers like it. This one I am not able to monitor from the district level, so I do have to ask principals to submit their plans to me, not only how they're going to implement it, because they have a choice of 2 options. They can do 1 lesson per week that's about 30 minutes long, or they can break it into 5-minute lessons throughout the week. And so I think that one's a lot easier. Plus, if we are deciding on a topic for the week, the kids get reinforced day after day during that week. So I really like that model better. And I think that's just so easy for our teachers to use. So that's the one I always advocate for. And then as well, our P&I specialists, our school counselors, our behavior specialists, they all have access as well. So they use these for when they need smaller groups. They may have targeted some children that need extra help with conflict resolution. There's some grief information in here and grief activities. So we're able to also pull together small groups based on all the content that is in Quaver. So this is just one example. I can't exactly remember what the topic of this one was, but just making good choices probably. So you can see the teacher would just click on that little left arrow in each block. It gives a quick little lesson, and then you just click and move on. So we wanted something that was very entertaining, that our kids loved, but the important piece too is it had to be very easy for our teachers to use. This is an example in this format. This is 2nd grade, and this is done by the lesson scope and sequence. And so that's very easy for a teacher just to follow, just whichever lesson they want to use, or they can choose based on a competency. If they've noticed, hey, my kids this week have really had a lot of conflict, they can just click on that competency button and it'll take them to all the different topics that they can utilize based on the needs of their classroom. And then this year, we have a new piece in Naviance. They opened up elementary to our CPS. And so we're kind of one of the first school systems to pilot this. It has more career information in it because we do have to, supply our students with information on careers. It used to be the Bridge Act. Now it's Top State for Talent. And so, but it does build in SEL. So this one is all about attitudes, and you can see some of the topics that it covers in that particular first grade lesson about pride, timeliness, goal setting. So there's some really good topics in that one as well. So we're anxious to play around in that this year and see how we like it. All right, and at middle school, we've been using Second Step for a period of time now too, probably about 4 years. And so this is used by middle school teachers. So our middle schools have been really great about 1 day a week. They do have an SEL period. And so this is when these lessons are pushed out. And this one I am able to monitor at the district level. So I like having that. And again, if we need the supplemental activities through Second Step, school counselors, P&I specialists, anybody can use the lessons that are in there. This is an example of 7th grade. So there are several units at each grade level and about 6 to 7 lessons per unit. And boy, don't know if I can see that far. Let's see, about conflict and escalation, resolving conflict. So in that section, again, you can just see the topics that our middle school students are exposed to just in that particular unit. This is what it looks like. I just pulled one of our schools here. When I log in, I can see that, okay, they have assigned 51 classes, 65 teachers have been assigned to second step, and then 3 administrators. And then I can click on each grade level at the bottom. You see that it says 15 of 17 classes have implemented a lesson in the past 14 days. I can then click on a grade level and I can actually see the teachers' names and the percentage of completion and how close they are to where they should be completing each unit. So it's a great monitoring tool. And I've just tried to make it easy on our principals. I will just take a screenshot of that and I email that to them monthly. So they don't have to really think about this and log in. They can just have that information and see which of their teachers are completing the lessons. So that's very helpful with this program. All right, and then last but not least, Naviance. Like I said, we do have it at elementary this year, and then our middle schools use it mostly for the career exploration and creating a graduation plan, and then certainly our high schoolers use it the most. But again, in August and September, we wanted that push in with our school counselors using those SEL lessons covering attendance, Aaron's Law, and suicide. Our students started receiving the Naviance training, and so this month is the real kickoff for diving into Naviance. At the middle school level, should they choose to use SEL, there are some crosswalks in there. You can see there's self-confidence, defining my dreams, using my strengths. So just again, a lot of self-discovery, self-exploration. And then what I love about Naviance is that we can create our own SEL lessons. So these are 3 that I created. I just took a snapshot of the top 3. And I can assign grade level, I can make it required or recommended, and then the student will have to check that off. So when a student logs in, they have a dashboard that shows their tasks that are due. And so we want to be able to go in and pull those reports and see that they have been exposed to this and completing these. But I love the fact that we can build our own into that one. And this is just a usage report. This is for the last couple of years. You can see that already our seniors are using it the most. So that's going to be the orange bar there. But our seniors have already been so used to Naviance, and especially during their senior year, they are, getting those recommendation letters in there, their scholarships, applying to colleges. So they're usually on it right from the start for the beginning of the year. So this is just the year where we really want to push in more SEL. And I had a great meeting with our high school principals right before the break where we reviewed the school climate data and just talked about the need to push in and grow SEL at the high school. And so a lot of times scheduling is our biggest challenge, but I think we all agree that we've got to find a way to do it for our high school students. Any questions?
I got a question. I want to talk about Navient.
Okay.
I know that it is a tool that we use for high school students. You mentioned that some training has taken place.
Yes.
Can you talk about what did that training look like for the high school students who actually facilitated that training, and what kind of support do the students still have that, so that they can continue to learn about it? And have we thought about, I know that now Naviance is available for elementary and middle school, which I think is great, because to start it, it's in high school, you really should have already known how to use it in order to get the real true benefits from it, right?
Sure.
So I'm glad to hear that we're expanding that. But I really want to know how can our high school students, I know that Magnet has used it for several years, but I know for sure that we haven't always used it in our traditional high schools. So how are we providing that extra support for those students, since they may not have always been exposed to Naviance?
Right. And so with this being the kickoff month, and we have so many of these kind of topics occurring this month with our financial aid night, which we've got FAFSA tonight. We've had our scholarship event. So everything this month is all about that career and getting ready. So the school counselors are the ones ones that are in charge of training our students on how to use that. So again, it's finding the time to get in there and train them, but that is the goal. I mean, it's non-negotiable at this point because we've got to get our kids using this more often. And really the tools are just so vast. They've only been using, certain ones that have benefited them, but I think they need to be exposed to so many more. But so the monitoring has to take place each month, making sure that we have set goals. And that is part of the school counselor's goal this year, is to increase this Naviance usage. And I know Tanya Cobb has set those goals for them.
So I know we have Saturday school, I think is once a quarter, maybe?
What is it? I'm sorry.
Saturday school.
I'm not sure, actually.
Have we thought about including some Naviance training or usage, during this Saturday, making it available for the students who want to learn more about it and have access to it with a support person there for them, just to take advantage of it.
Absolutely. That's a great idea. We also want to make some videos as well, just so that kids and parents, when we had our scholarship Saturday a few weeks ago, we had 2 classes on Naviance. The parents were absolutely blown away. They said, I had no idea that this was available to my kids.
Right.
And so we know that we've got to make some videos to reach the masses because our parents can benefit so much from this as well. So I think that's a way to reach also a larger audience.
Yes. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Madam Chair, I have a question. Thank you very much for that information. Is there a required amount of time that we expect teachers to provide the SEL? Of course, I know it's SEL, right? The SEL lessons, or are we using it on an as-needed basis?
That is not the expectation. And so that's why we are monitoring the unit level completion. And like I said, with Second Step, it can give me exact percentages of where those teachers are. And I can tell a principal, your teacher is not going to meet this goal and complete this unit on time. Or no, your school's doing really well. With Quaver, again, that's going to be self-report by principal and counselor, but we're talking about developing an online form so that we can monitor. And then several principals said part of their monitoring plan is that the administrators are going in during those times to make sure those lessons are being completed. And then I meet with our elementary principals once a month. This is just an ongoing topic, attendance and SEL. Where are you with this? How's it going? How can I help? But the expectation is it has to be done. It's just too important for our kids. They need these skills in order to be better academically. They've got to be able to be present mentally well in order to do well academically.
Thank you. And you might have said this, but what grade level is exposed to the Aaron's Law?
So by law, that is 1st grade through 9th grade.
Okay. Thank you.
I have one more question. So you talked about Quaver and Second Step and Naviance. And I know that in Second Step, you're able to keep up with the usage, right? Quaver, not just yet. And Naviance, I guess there is a way. My question is, and if you don't have the answer, it's okay, but I do want to begin to get some of this information at some point in time. What is the correlation, or you all already know, Pam Brown likes to know, what is the return on the investment? And in other words, for this particular thing right here, what is the correlation in the use of these programs and the results in the classroom, for example, behavior,
And we have not been tracking that by classroom, but I think that is a great idea because we also, it's a teachable moment, I think, for teachers. If they are struggling with classroom management, we have the tools to help them. And then the counselor can then come in, do extra lessons, and then we are able to monitor that and see, is this making a difference? But we have to get to that point.
And that's what I'm thinking. These sound like a very good program.
They are.
That we have.
They're wonderful.
And if we use them, it could impact some of the things that we may see a challenge right now.
And Ms. Brown, I'll just add that that's one of the topics. I have a reoccurring meeting with senior cabinet members, including Mrs. Fallon, and that's one of the things that I've asked for are the monthly reports related to all of these different pieces, because I know as we've talked about budgets, the purchases of the renewals of some of these resources, that we want to see the usage and we want to see the ROI on these things. And so that's been the ask. I think she's done a good job, and that's how she's unearthed the fact that we could not necessarily monitor the waiver at the district level. So she has to go about collecting that data a little differently, but then she was able to retrieve it for the middle and high for so that we can monitor it throughout, but more importantly, give that information back to our principals so that they can do some reinforcement and follow up on those pieces as well. So we are there with you, and we're doing that through those monthly updates.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll move on to our Leadership and Learning Division. And first up in that area, we have Ms. Shauna Miller and Ms. Michelle Smith.
Board Chairwoman Sandra Jackson-Lett and Assistant Chair, Vice Chair, Ms. Jones, Superintendent Chester, Cabinet, and most importantly, our guests. Thanks for being here and being involved. Tonight, I'm really excited to share with you some of the work that's happening in the 21st Century Community Learning Centers program under the directorship of Ms. Michelle Smith. So I'm going to just tell you there's 3 goals. These are some grants that we receive. And our first goal is to increase our STAR performance in reading and math by 10 percentage points. It kind of parallels the priorities that Ms. Chesser has set forth. The second is by the end of FY25, 26.75% of participating students will report an increase in social emotional skills as measured by pre and post surveys, which is aligned with some of the work that Ms. Fallon just shared. And the third goal is by the end of FY25, 26.5% of the parents will participate in at least 2 of our parenting workshops events as measured by sign-in sheets. Now I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Smith before we get to the action items at the end so she can give you some more details about the actual grants and the actual program.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Assistant Chair, Superintendent. This is a program that I truly love, and I've watched it grow baby steps, and now where we are now is just really, really amazing. So how does a 21st Century Community Learning Center support students in Rockdale County Public Schools? Of course, it's the academic piece always, which is our main focus. Everything else goes back to the academic piece. We have homework assistance, and then there is family engagement. With the academic piece, we also have the enrichment piece, which here we're calling the engagement of learning. Even there, everything goes back to the academic piece there that we have there. Let's see. Me and my technology skills. Oh, thank you. Okay. Okay. How do we support our goals? We support by supporting our students in achieving state and local academic standards in core subjects such as reading and mathematics. Also, the second section here speaks to our enrichment piece. We provide students with a diverse range of enrichment opportunities such as social emotional learning, STEM activities that enhance and complement their core academic curriculum. And then lastly here, we speak to the family engagement. Here we are delivering literacy and other educational services to families of the enrolled students, fostering academic support beyond the classroom. I just want to pause there and just say that, you know, how do we support the kids academically? One of the ways we'll do that, we are aligned with the daytime curriculum. We also meet regularly with the daytime teachers and staff. And I personally meet with the principals so that we are standing in alignment there. We offer a everyday homework help for the students and we reteach what is going on during the daytime. And so we also hire the actual daytime teachers from that school. So we have, in a lot of cases, the actual mathematics teacher or the literacy teacher or the reading teacher is also their same teacher in the after-school program. Enrichment, everything that a student does, of course, always go back to some type of academic value. So our grant mandates that we have all types of enrichment. So people say, well, how is cooking an enrichment class? Well, the students are learning measurements. They also are learning different types, not just measurement, but the different types of foods maybe that go into the cake or the smoothie. And then afterwards, usually the teacher will also have some type of writing exercise to go with what is happening there. Family engagement delivers literacy and other educational services to families of the enrolled students, fostering academic support beyond the classroom. Here we are not only educating our students, we also have an opportunity to spend some time with our families as well. We offer things like financial literacy. I am currently looking into maybe a GED program for the parents. And so there's always an opportunity for the parents to also learn, and the more that the parent knows, the student will also follow. Next slide, please. So we have 4 grants here in our county with 6 locations. Rockdale Bridges program was the very first grant. Rockdale Bridges program is now in its 7th year. This particular grant is what we call our feeder grant, which means that it goes from to elementary to middle to high school. Peaks Chapel is the elementary school portion. Peaks Chapel has an after-school program, Saturday program, and a summer program. Memorial Middle School has an after-school program, morning program, Saturday school program, and summer program. Salem High School, after-school program, Saturday school program, and summer school program. Our second grant, which is in its 2nd year, is what we call Thrive After School Program. This is housed at JH House. JH House has an after-school program and a summer program. We have 2 new grants. The first one, Mighty Mustangs, which is located at Flat Shoals Elementary School. Mighty Mustangs has the after-school program, Saturday school program, and the summer program. Our second first-year grant is what is called Rise Academy. It is located at CJ Hicks. There's an after-school program there, Saturday school program, and a summer program. And I think this is Shauna. Shauna's. Okay.
Okay, so tonight we're going to ask that we have an action item for the 21st Century Community Learning Centers sub-grant acceptance. The recommendation is that the superintendent will recommend the Rockdale County Board of Education officially accepts the FY25 Nita M. Lowry 21st Century Community Learning Centers, often referred to as 21st CCLC sub-grants, on behalf of the Rockdale County Public Schools 21st CCLC programs totaling $1.2 million, $1,238.76. And you'll see how each of those are divided up there. It's $350,000 to Rockdale Bridges program, $287,244 to the Thrive After School program, $300,416 to the Mighty Mustangs, and the same $300,416 to Rise Academy. The rationale is the program supports the creation of community learning centers that provide academic enrichment opportunities during non-school hours for children, particularly who attend high poverty and low performing schools. The Nita M. Lowry 21st Century Community Learning Centers program provides opportunities for academic enrichment, offers a broad array of enrichment opportunities that reinforce regular academic programs, and offers literacy and other education services to the families of participants. Again, the financial impact is listed, and it is $1,238.76 total. So I would assume you might have a few questions, and I'm happy to answer and address those now.
I do. So, help me to understand sub-grant. There's a grant and there's a sub-grant. Is this right here in addition to the grant, or is, tell
All
me?
the same. So we receive a total from the Nita M. Lowry sub-grant, big grant, we receive that total of 1.2. If you add each of those sub-grants, that totals that 1.2.
Okay, so I just want to understand.
Yeah, no.
We have a total grant. We just don't get all of the money at the same time.
We do get it at the same time. We just
do.
have to write. So if we were to, as we expand, so next year, if we wanted to write for another school to join us, they give us however much money. I think it's based on our per pupil allotment, actually. So they would add that money.
Okay.
So each one allocates a different amount.
Okay, so the programs that we have under the grants here, I think it's great that we've been able to add some additional, but when will we receive some information, a little bit more information on how this grant has impacted the academics of these schools or these students who are participating in this program, and whether or not we have some kind of plan in place? What does that look like? I hear you talk about programs, but specifics, and how does that correlate with the day-to-day curriculum?
Yes. Okay. So under really the direction of the superintendent, we have really worked to align everything. There is an external evaluator that comes in and analyzes all of the performance data points from the year. So they do that twice a year. But honestly, it's not enough, because what we really needed was progress monitoring points really bi-weekly if possible, so that we can make sure we're communicating with the staff, and after school, excuse me, we can make sure we're communicating with teachers, with principals, because this is a lot of money, but more importantly, it's a lot of time that we have direct face-to-face contact with students. So some of you may know Tammy Smith. She was working with L4GA. She's now working with 21st Century, and I'm sorry I called it that. She likes for me to say the whole name. But she's now working with them, and she's our data point person. So we're taking all the students that are enrolled and participating, we're flagging them in Infinite Campus so that we can create a data viz for them. She's tracking their attendance for this year during the day and in the program, their STAR monitoring points. And it is very interesting because the data is kind of everywhere. We're looking at how these students performed on milestones last year versus this year. But if I'm being honest, it's a work in progress that we're working on right now, because we need to show that we're using this time. I mean, we have a lot of good stuff that we can do, and we just need to be very intentional about the work we're doing.
Yes, I'm interested in seeing that information. How many students are participating on a regular basis, and like Ms. Smith mentioned that we have Saturday school. I just want to clarify, Saturday school, from what I understand, is not every Saturday, right? But is this particular program, is it every Saturday?
It is every Saturday. No, it's 20, but it's every Saturday once it starts, right? Let me defer to Ms. Smith, because I'm
Okay.
giving you incorrect.
So according to the grant, the Saturday school, the 3 schools that have Saturday school, they have 20 Saturdays. And when we wrote the grant, the actual dates for the grant, Saturday schools, is listed in the grant.
Okay.
And so let's just say, for example, in October, we have 2 Saturdays. We did not schedule them around the holiday. In December, there are 2, November, there are 3, I believe. And so it just depends on which month, but there's at least 2, sometimes 4. In March, we have one every Saturday. It pretty much goes around the holiday schedule.
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
but okay. All right,
Mhm.
that's good. I just want to see more information on participation and results. How is it impacting those students that are participating? So I don't have to give it now, but at some point, I would like that information.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
And we can send you tomorrow, we can send out what we have for the external evaluations and we'll get you what you're asking for.
Thank you.
Shauna, I have a question.
Yes.
Madam Chair, if you'll allow me. So we have $1.2 million and it's broken down into 4 different programs that are called subgrants. So let's take Rockdale Bridge program, for example, and we have $350,000 going to that one particular program, correct? What does that budget look like? Like who makes the budget to allocate that $350,000? And in essence, similar to what Pam is asking, she's asking for the results, but how are we making sure that the money is actually being used correctly? So we're using it to, bring on program that is beneficial to the student as opposed to snacks, as opposed to the people that we're paying. What is the majority of that budget going towards? Can we see that? And who makes that budget for each school? 350, 287, 300, 300.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes,
like
ma'am.
what is that percentage looking like? So we're allocating those funds. The majority is going towards teaching and learning and not anything else.
Yes, ma'am. So at least 65% of the budget has to be spent on the students' staffing.
As specified by the grant.
Yes, ma'am.
Mhm.
And then I sit down with the state supervisor. His name is Desmond Carter, and he watches over our budget. And I submit it to him, and he approves it or disapproves it, and then he sends it back. And then there are managers at each school that is not really included in the teacher budget, but they're included into the management budget. And then there is their supplies, transportation, field trips, and other management.
That comes out of the 65 or the 35?
35.
So 100%, 65 is being allocated to paying staff.
Yes. And anything related to
35
the children.
Okay.
So the teachers, the paras, the supplies, field trips, all of that's attached to the children. That's where you get your first 65% from. And then there's I can't remember exactly right now, there's a percentage for like the management for like each program and for the site managers. And then there's a percentage, there is a 10% for administrative. That is where I land with anybody who supports me or any money that supports me. There is a 10% cap there. And then there is a 3% cap for anyone who evaluates us, which is mandated by the state.
And so that's still within the 65?
No, ma'am. Anything outside of the children is separate. So there's 65% where there is teachers, paras, field trips, those types of things. Anything that touches the children is on where we get the 65%. But we could share the budget with you.
Oh, yeah, definitely, because I think if we're looking to be effective, we have to actually make sure that the resources that the students need is actually there. I ask because I look at grants and, okay, so for example, every month I write a check and I donate to the to a research foundation, and for every dollar I give, 90% of that dollar goes towards administrative costs. That means only 10% of every dollar that I donate to that organization is actually going towards the research that I want to see results on breast cancer, for example, right? And so that's why I'm asking to see that when we are now taking $1.2 million, that we are actually seeing the end results that Pam is asking for, because we are allocating the money towards the resources that's needed for the students to be successful, and not just paying staff to watch them, because it shouldn't be just another babysitting approach. And I'm not saying that's what it is.
No, it's not.
But I want you to understand why I would like to see how you guys are coming up with that budget and how it's being spent in betterment of our children, whether it's for behavior or for their academic improvement.
Yes, yes. And it also includes the parenting piece as well. Monies for parenting academies or parenting, classes. So that's not included in the 65%. The 65% is really for the classroom piece. Everything we do touches, actually touches the children. And so even buses, I mean, that's a pretty good amount, we don't spend there, but it's for the children. So it's not included in the 65% though. Yeah.
And
Mhm.
see exactly my point as we're having this conversation is that we have you have $1 and you have to pay for 50 cents of it to the persons who are working it, and you have to pay 40 cents to buy them supplies, to do bus, to do all of that. Then only a dime is going towards actually the resources that the students are needing to achieve, to be successful, to be enriched, whatever it is that we're striving for. So that's the more we're talking, the more I'm hoping that you're seeing my point, is that are we actually allocating it in the right ways, whether it's bounded by the terms of the grant, or is it that we are budgeting in a certain way that we need to maximize what our students are getting?
I'm going to say it's both. We do have percentages that we're required to spend on certain things from the grant. But as far as resources, I do want to address, we are trying very hard this year to use the resources that we're using during the school day as well. To really align those materials, because we have spent a lot of money on resources so that we can use those, monitor lesson plans, get in and do real great teaching using very vetted resources. And that's a little separate from the requirement of the enrichment component of the grant, but a main priority is to make sure students are getting great instruction with very vetted resources. So fortunately, we don't have to spend as much money on the resource piece. We can really invest in people that can get down and teach with students.
And that's what I have a question with that, with the academic tutoring and the homework assistance. How much of the time the children spends at the program do you think that they do the academic tutoring and the homework? Because that's where it comes down to. If they're having math, problems with reading, and it's that extra educational time that they need, and that's the importance of having that 65% go to what touches the child. So what percent do you think that these kids get the academic tutoring and the homework assistance while they're in the program?
Okay, so the programs are 3 hours apiece, except for Memorial is 2 hours. So they have more than 70%, at least 75% of the day with the academic, but everything goes back to academic. So even when we say enrichment, right? So like every day the students receive homework help. That's how we normally start. So they have their snack with their homework. And that's anywhere between 30 minutes to 45 minutes per day. And then they go into their academic classes. And typically, depending on the site, then they will have their enrichment at the end. Some sites prefer to have just one day of like the enrichment piece. So even with the enrichment piece, they will have, it can be academic. So it can be science enrichment. It can be mathematics enrichment. It can be reading enrichment that is not actually geared towards the daytime curriculum.
And that's where I wanted you guys to go with it. I wanted you guys to emphasize that everything that you did in doing this program is actually dedicated and resolves around educating the children.
Absolutely, yes.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to respond to a couple of things. So in full transparency, Once I stepped into this role and I received the end of year document regarding the performance of the students, one of the first things that I did was I reached out to Ms. Smith and I shared some concerns that I had based on the data. Because for me, it's so very important that if we are investing this time with our students, that we have to see the growth in the students that we are targeting. So at that particular point, we had our district priorities unveiled by our superintendent. And one of the things that it allowed for me to do in the conversation with Ms. Miller and Ms. Smith is to then be able to have that alignment. So this is the alignment for the district. This is the expectation. One of the things we want to make sure is that, to what Ms. Smith says and Ms. Miller said, we are using the resources that we have here that we are providing to our students on a daily basis, because what that does is it allows our principals to be able to use those resources and the assessments within those resources and track the progress of our students. So one of the things is we've said to our principals, you have to have a caseload of your students, the students who are in these programs. And as you monitor your different subgroups, this is a subgroup as well. These are students who are being served in this program. So when asked, you should be able to speak to what is the performance looking like for these particular students who are being served in this particular program. So what I do want you to understand is that we are monitoring. I cannot speak to what we did prior to, but I do know that now it is very important for us to make sure that if we are serving students, that there's also a clear collaboration between the program managers, Ms. Smith, and our principals. Our administrators in the building. It is very important because if, like I said, we also have safety nets and our schools also have programs that they are running as well. So we want to make sure if the majority of the students that we are touching in this type of a program are being served through this grant, we want to make sure that what we are doing is aligned to the expectations of our everyday work. So we are monitoring, and in full transparency, we will provide you with the information that you have requested.
And thank you for that. I certainly, I wasn't finished when Larry asked, but I will conclude with, yes, I do want the follow-up because I don't want this to seem like it's an inquisition in this moment.
No.
But I do believe that I think my triggered by the fact that we've been doing it for 7 years and that there's not, pardon the term, provocative data that we can use to kind of answer questions at this point, age and stage in a 7-year program.
Yes,
Right?
Yes.
So I'm appreciating the fact that, you know, I thought in my head the big guns is walking up to the microphone. I'm appreciating the fact that there's that feeling of continuous improvement in your strategy moving forward, but it doesn't negate the fact that there's gaps that I hear in the presentation that Ms. Smith gave us. So I would love to continue the conversation because I do want to know the answer. So when I recommend these programs to our families in the community, that I can speak of it with certainty, with pride, to say that these are the things that we're doing to fill the gaps and to enrich our students. So I hope you receive it that way.
Oh, absolutely. There is no other way to receive it because at the end of the day, that we are in the business of supporting children and families. But I will say one benefit is it does help a lot of our students who could not attend our paid programs after school. And even with our safety net programs, sometimes we're only limited by the number of students, and it's a small number that we can support. This extends that offering for our schools, but for me, it has to do more than just extend. It has to also be relevant as it relates to making sure that we are supporting students academically first. Okay.
Not a question, just a quick comment. If there was underutilization or no, very little progress monitoring. I just want to commend you guys for realizing that there was a void and y'all have implemented the necessary progress monitoring so that you can let us know the efficacy of the program. So just thank you very much for that.
You're welcome.
Madam Chair, I thought I had some questions but they've answered all of my questions. I was going to speak to the importance of that progress monitoring because we can have a program that we're running. We done ran the program 7-8 weeks and we don't know if what we're doing is working. We don't know if it's benefiting the children or if the program is just something that we're doing. Like, we need to know. That was the first thing I said when I saw the presentation. Where's the data? And I'm a data person, like, where is the data? And if we have the same students who are attending the program during each cycle, that speaks to another issue. So that data is critical.
So I can address that. I really am grateful for the superintendent priorities. This is our first year participating in any district priority. Having said that, we do have evaluators and we are data-driven by what the state requires us to have. So it's not like we don't turn in grades, attendance, behavior, test scores. So our data has been analyzed all along, 3 times a year. And so now we are trying to analyze it according to every time we take a test.
Yeah.
So we do have data. We do have summatives. We do have end of the year reports in which, measure our students. So it's not like the kids come and we don't know who's on grades are better from one semester to the other. There has been measurements for the entire 7 years.
Yeah, we understand that. I think we were just talking about that when you have children who are struggling, like that's what I do at my job. But when you have kids who are struggling, you provide progress monitoring at least weekly or bi-weekly, and that's the data that you're looking at, not the semester to semester, because if you wait that long, children could have fallen between the cracks. And so we understand that you have that other data, that summative data. We're talking about that progress monitoring data from week to week or bi-weekly to say, you know what we're doing this week, it didn't work. Because look at the amount of children who mastered, I'm gonna say skills, because that's what tutoring does, filling gaps.
Absolutely.
We have this amount of students who've mastered these skills and this amount of students who may not have mastered. There may be issue with instruction. You said something else. You all said that the students had the same teacher during the day for the tutoring program. I mean, you may want to look to see, is that an effective practice? Because if they didn't get it during the day from that teacher, I mean, they may not get it during the tutoring time from that teacher. So those are just things to look at. That's all. I understand the importance of tutoring program, after school programs. Not only do they provide that instructional support, that SEL support, they provide kids a safe place to go, right? And so we do want to make sure it's effective. I appreciate the work. I definitely appreciate the work. We all appreciate the work. We appreciate the efforts. We're just saying, show us that the program that you're utilizing or the grant, so that we're getting a return on the investment. That's all we're saying.
Dr. McCray and Mrs. Russell.
So, good evening, Madam Chairwoman Jackson-Lett, Vice Chairwoman Jones, our board, Superintendent Chesser, our cabinet, and our guests. I bring you greetings from our ELA team on tonight with part of our Division of Leadership and Learning. Those of you know, I am Shanita Russell, the K-5 Language and Literacy Coordinator, along with EIP Coordinator. And it gives me pleasure on tonight to be able to share some literacy highlights along with Dr. McCray that support not only our literacy initiatives, but also are aligned with our district priorities. You see our content mastery goals, development, which includes our leaders and our teachers, along with those engagement goals for our stakeholders as well. You can see here on the timeline, we are in a full implementation of our K-12 ELA standards. For the elementary level, there are 4 distinct domains that students are receiving instruction for. Each domain has a set of big ideas, along with grade banded standards and grade level expectations. And with those grade level expectations, they identify the specific skills that we want our students to be able to acquire to make progress towards that mastery. For here in Rockdale, we actually started our training year last year. And with that training year, we engaged our teachers and our leaders in an introductory level of what those standards are, what those grade level expectations through a series of PL sessions throughout the entire year. This year, as part of year 2 training for our teachers and our leaders, we are engaging them in a deeper dive. We're calling it Standards Training 2.0. And through this training, they do a deeper dive in partnership with Metro RESA, where they are doing all of our district PLI days, ILD days. Our teachers and our leaders have an understanding of now how to implement all of those standards, how to integrate the standards, because we do not want teachers teaching those standards in isolation. So they learn what integration looks like in the classroom and in their instructional delivery. They're also learning about writing across all of the domains, because again, with the new shifts in our standards and instruction, there are changes in our assessment practices as well. And so students who are engaging in the milestones will have to write to all of the writing domains using all of those text techniques. And so the training this year is really showing our instructors and our leaders what that needs to look like in lesson planning and then lesson delivery. We're in year 2 of our resources as well. And so with year 2, we are engaging in continued in PL for our teachers and our leaders at all tiers of instruction. And so we're focusing this year on small group instruction, again, at all tiers for our students to be able to engage in the practice of, again, digging into the skills that they need to acquire to move towards meeting those expectations and ultimately showing mastery of those standards. We are addressing the writing expectations for all of our grade levels, starting as early as kindergarten. And so in our K-2 classes, they're engaging in that shared reading, shared writing. And as early as 2nd grade, they are engaging in performance tasks in order to, again, prepare them for the milestones assessment. We're also making shifts in our formative assessment practices and progress monitoring. And so that is an ongoing expectation that we're not just administering assessments, but we're using them as instructional tools. And so after a student assesses, PLCs gather together to go through item analysis to make sure that they are adjusting instruction to adhere to the needs of all of their learners. Our newest shift at the elementary level is how we screen our K-3 students. And so you are familiar with the expectations in our state with House Bill 307, which work in tandem with our Georgia Early Literacy Act and our dyslexia law. We have implemented a mirror literacy. This particular screener is state approved and also state funded for K-3. What's unique about this particular screener is that it is, again, identified, has strong research results, and became highly recommended by our state. It not only assesses those foundational literacy skills that we want our K-3 students to acquire, it also serves as that dyslexia screener. And so students who engage in a mirror assess, we are able to identify if there is a reading risk and address those needs of those students who may be demonstrating characteristics of dyslexia. The other component to the Amira Assess is that it also addressed standards mastery. And so in addition to students being able to acquire and being able to monitor them gaining those foundational literacy skills, we also can track if students are acquiring those grade level and grade banded standards expectations. Another unique feature of Amira Literacy is that while it is AI generated, it is designed to be safe for our students in the responses. It only listens for those responses that are programmed into the system for students' accuracy and oral language fluency. It is age appropriate, and it is focused on the science of reading and structured literacy. We had an opportunity to observe students engaging in the assessment process, and we saw Amira in action. Students are able to access whole group, small group, or one-to-one as needed by that particular learner. After meeting with the executive committee from Amira, our district moved forward with implementing the full Amira suite, which includes Amira Tutor. So with Amira Tutor, students are able to engage in tasks that are at their readiness level to improve their acquisition of those foundational literacy skills. So students, after they assess, they're placed on a learning path through Amira Tutor, which allows them to, again, continue to acquire those foundational literacy skills through a gaming simulation. Teachers are able to adjust the learning path for the students if they notice that students are staying in a particular skill set for an extended period of time. They can stretch that student by adjusting their learning plan. They can also scaffold it down if there's a need to continue to support that student in that acquisition of those skills. The other unique feature of Amira Tutor is that it does include that progress monitoring piece. So every time a student engages in Amira Tutor, teachers are able to go in and look at that data and make sure that students, again, are making that adequate progress. The expectation is that students are engaging with that for at least 30 minutes a week. And we also are providing access for students to engage in Amira Tutor at home as well. The other component to the Amira suite is Amira Instruct. This allows teachers to enhance that small group instruction. And we talked about that as a focus that we have for this year. And so with that, the teacher is, again, able to identify skills that they want students to engage in. Students can engage in those skills during that independent small group instruction time. Again, teachers can go in and adjust the learning path in Amira Instruct as well. We have a unique feature that Amira is working in partnership with us, that our core resource, Benchmark Advance, will be integrated into Amira Instruct. So what that means is that as they identify skills that students need to work through, teachers can go in and find where that particular skill is addressed and which unit it occurs in Benchmark Advance. In addition to that, and it's not here in the presentation, we have are a part of Amira Champions. So every school has 2 individuals that serves as an Amira champion, along with district personnel who are working to support the implementation and the progress monitoring of this particular screener, along with its instruct and tutor components. Are there any questions?
Madam Chair, I have a comment. I love Amira. I am the Amira champion at my school. So guess what? I cannot wait to see the data that we get back from Amira. You said 2 great things that I love. Students are allowed to use the program at home.
Yes, ma'am.
That is awesome. Like, that is rare, but that is awesome. And then I see also that we're using the program. Is it P through 4?
We're using it K5. Actually, some of our schools, we have 2 cohorts that are engaging in the suite. Some of them are engaging with it in K5, and then our second cohort that started late September is using it K3. The goal is to have all 11 of our schools engaging in it K5 in the upcoming school year.
And that's all students,
Yes,
because Amira is adaptive, so it doesn't matter if they're struggling or if they need enrichment.
That is
Amira
correct.
makes that adaptation
Yes,
to what they need. Awesome. I look forward to hear more.
Great. Thank you so much.
I'm not familiar with it, but my question was the home piece as well. How do you monitor the home piece? Is it?
So we can track usage on the platform at the district and the school level in order to see the time that not only the time the students are spending on the platform, but also the tasks that they're engaging in. We can see it on both the tutor and the instruct side. So the amount of minutes, but then also on the tutor side, how many stories they're engaging in. And when we say story, we just mean text that they're engaging in. It can vary depending on the readiness level of the student. And then on the instruct side, we can see again how they are acquiring those skills that are more aligned to grade level standards.
It's a great program. I have to add this as well. And so one of the biggest, not one of the biggest, but another advantage of the program is it records the children reading. And then what teachers can do is go back and listen to that oral reading of those students and even play that reading back to those children.
And their parents. So that's
And
it's
their
a powerful tool to be able to show that progress that the student is making over time, because it does save those recordings like you mentioned, and it can be shared for the student and for the parents as well, so they can hear that growth that the student is making in acquiring those skills.
One other benefit, there is an intervention piece where they can print out an intervention lesson. So that means the student does not have to get all of their support in the front or with the use of a computer. They get that FaceTime.
Yes.
Because the interventions are written out. So we should see some great results from Amira.
Yes. Thank you.
All right, good evening, everyone. I get to talk to you about some of the similar experiences that are taking place on the secondary side. The last time I was before you, I was asking for money. This time I'm going to share with you how we are monitoring the investment. As you all know, we have new resources, so just sharing some of the priorities and what our focus is on the 612 side in alignment with our district priorities for content mastery, development, and engagement. You'll notice that there are a few words that are bolded out and in green. And so what we're really working to focus on in our 612 realm is literacy proficiency using our STAR reading data, making sure that we're looking at our new standards that are in implementation this year to align them with the resources that we purchased to support both the core and intervention. And then more importantly, begin to ensure that our students and our teachers and our community stakeholders are aware of the new changes to the assessment and how we're preparing our students to be ready for that shift on the milestone. Ultimately, we want to engage our stakeholders in the processes that are taking place in 612 because we've had some changes, even with the courses that we offer. So to back up the request that I asked of you all in late April, we had to come up with a support plan in order to ensure that the resources that were purchased to support new standards and new courses, that we had a plan to provide that support to our leaders, teachers, coaches, and cadre members. It's almost like purchasing a brand new car and not having a manual. There was no way that we could move forward without putting a plan in place for all of our stakeholders within the county. So what you see before you is just the high-level overview of how we're providing that targeted support to our leaders, our coaches, and our teachers, as well as our cadre member. Ms. Russell mentioned the importance of our professional learning days, as well as our ILD, and then not to mention the opportunity to provide on-site coaching to the schools. I have spoke very highly of our literacy cadre, which consists of primarily teachers and a few instructional coaches across our district. Each school was gracious enough to provide me with one and a possible. And I asked them to make sure that the individual that they nominated for the literacy cadre would be able to support the work for 2 years. I'm happy to say that we have had no turnover in our cadre team, and we're in year 2, which we are now working on that assessment component. Last year for us, it was a push for standards. So they also receive intentional time to come and get support training so that they can help redeliver in their capacity within their building. These are some of our cadre members across the district. And I'm just proud of them as instructors for taking on something a little extra and really leading the way at developing not just our curriculum documents, but our assessments across the district. That team has helped to ensure that across the district, in each of our buildings, we launched this last year as a requirement, and our principals helped to monitor the progress, of their teachers. The state provided us with modules that we could complete to support the training that we were already doing in our district. So that expectation was satisfied by all of our instructors last year. It's continuing as an expectation for teachers that are being hired this year and throughout the year. So the modules is one of the resources that we continue to use to sharpen our teachers' awareness of the standards, because they are still new standards for them, and they're doing a great job with them. With that, I want to just touch a little bit about the writing. I know Ms. Russell talked to you all about the expectation for our students in grades K2 to share in the reading and writing experience and begin having some exposure in second grade to independent writing. You may or may not know that our writing assessment to support Georgia milestones has changed for our middle and high school students. In previous years, our students in high school took their Georgia milestone in what was considered 11th grade or American literature. We also know that in middle school, our students in grades 6, 7, and 8 have traditionally participated in a milestone where they all engaged in writing. But with the changes to the assessment, our 6th and 7th grade students will engage in evaluating writing. And so in order to prepare for that shift, not only have we as a district implemented a writing performance task, which is different to how we've done writing in previous years. You all may remember Think Circa. We don't have Think Circa. What we have are dedicated teachers, leaders, and committee members within our cadre who have evaluated the writing expectations using the Godot resources and put together what we're doing in Rockdale County to support writing instruction. So what you see before you is very similar to the expectation that students will be asked to write during milestone. Well, they'll be provided multiple sources. They'll be provided a research question, and they'll have to develop a synthesized response that requires them to embed multiple techniques. So as you are floating around buildings and talking with ELA teachers, I encourage you to ask them about the techniques. What are the techniques? Because that's a big shift in the ELA world in terms of how we engage our teachers and our leaders with the writing expectations. Part of our commitment was to honor our resource adoption timeline because we knew we had to be ready to start this year. So just as a reminder, we went through the adoption process last year, fully committed with the high quality instructional materials rubric that allowed us to identify what would be our core and our intervention resources. And honoring that timeline and the process, just as a reminder, these are the resources that our community stakeholders, teachers, students, this is what we settled on. And we're happy with the purchase, and we're thankful for the purchase because we were able to purchase all the bells and whistles with the product. And so you heard Ms. Russell talk about some of the integration between Amira and Benchmark. We have something similar on the secondary side with regard to our core product, which is My Perspectives, and the intervention components that were purchased to support some of our students in need. On the AP side, we also enhanced our resources and purchased resources to support our new courses, pre-AP1, pre-AP2, and we also have AP Research and AP Seminar at a few of our schools. With that, you guys have talked a little bit about monitoring. And so what I want to share with you is that with the new resources that we've purchased, we also have the ability to monitor performance from our students as well as teacher usage. We're able to look at the performance by grade level, by class, by teacher, and so it's been very helpful. We have taken the first quarter to get our teachers acclimated with the products, the resources, and now they're digging deeper into the data. What is my data revealing about how my students are making progress? And what we know is that implementation requires fidelity. So now that we're in the space of having trained everyone on the product, how to look at the data that comes in from the students engaging on the product with the expected amount of time that's required to see those shifts, we're hopeful that we'll continue to see growth in the positive direction for our students that have been placed in the courses that have the intervention resources. So this is one of the intervention resources that's being utilized in all of our middle schools during their ELT period, which is that extended learning time in the morning. The students get on the platform at least 2 days a week and are able to work at a pace that's been identified based off of their performance. So similar to Amira, it identifies their placement, their reading level, and provides them with a learning path for them to complete throughout the course of their time in that particular course. The other intervention that we're directing our teachers to in terms of continuous support, the days of having a face-to-face trainer have changed a lot in the realm of education. And so part of making sure that our teachers and our leaders and even us as the coordinators can stay current, we do rely on the virtual and the digital resources that are provided. So one of the bonuses to the investment that was made with Savis is that it does provide very accessible, palatable, and free training for our teachers that they can engage with at a pace that they're comfortable with. Not only does it provide resources for the teachers, but there are some resources within the My Savage training platform for families as well. So we've been using that as a primary resource to engage and make sure that the getting started training that they had in July doesn't go away. We are constantly asking them to go to this platform, and we've identified particular modules by month that we're ensuring that they've looked at within their buildings. Just want to give you a quick overview of the instructional model. Whereas the MIRA is student-driven, so are the intervention resources that we selected for our middle grades as well as our high school. So Success Maker was one of the intervention products that I shared with you. The other one that we purchased is iLit, and iLit is used to support our ELL students, as well as our students that are anywhere from 2 or more grade levels below, as well as our students that have been identified as gifted. So we have iLit 45, iLit 20, and iLit ELL. And each of those programs is designed for a particular student in mind. Specifically, I mentioned our gifted students having an opportunity to engage with this. There's still growth that can be made for those students, and this platform identifies where they can continue to grow and prescribe specific tasks for them to engage with, very similar to what you heard on elementary level. But the model, it's not just independent. There is an expectation that the instructors are providing some whole group instruction to the students. And I think that's really important for us to make sure that we're not losing sight that this particular resource is used to support our students that are 2 or more grade levels below. So leaving them independent is not the model that we are adopting in this district. We've adopted a resource that allows our teachers to still provide direct instruction. A quick peek. I know that you guys have asked questions about how do you monitor and what does the monitoring look like. This is just the high-level overview of the different reports that are available to us through this platform. Also with a kind of a quick cheat sheet for our leaders to assist them, because there are different variations to the interventions within their building. But what you can see before you is we can see how the students are doing weekly. We can take a look at their overall progress. We can zero down into their actual reading growth. We can drill down into the student summaries to look at how they're using their time during that ELT, and then of course their overall performance. Just to kind of highlight how we are continuing to ensure that our teachers will be ready to, I don't want to say ready, I'm going to say to ensure that our teachers will continue to sharpen their skills with the standards and the assessments. We have committed to embedded job training. And so what you see is our commitment with our Savage trainer, who has been a part of all of our pre-planning ILD days. We were getting to the knit and grit and really working together to make sure that all teachers that use the resource, including our teachers in our Exceptional Children's Services Division, have the proper training that they need. Not only did we utilize them to provide the training during our professional learning days, but on this next slide, you're able to see us in the buildings. So right before break, we spent our day, a full week in our middle and high schools providing on-site coaching where the teachers were pulled in. We did some modeling. It was a great experience. And because of that, I'm confident that we're doing the right work. The students are utilizing the appropriate resource, and the teachers are better prepared to be able to monitor their progress along the way. This is just a quick opportunity for you to see that with the differentiation, and again, really you all support, you notice the headphones, that was one of the asks at the end of the year. We needed headphones to support testing. Those headphones also support the intervention classes where the students are able to record themselves and work on their fluency. And that's consistent in our middle grades and our high school as well. So just want to say thank you for the opportunity to provide you with a quick update on where we're going on the secondary side, how we're utilizing the new resources, and the continued training around standards. Are there any questions for me? Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. McCray. Next up, we have Mr. Budenseek, and I think he'll be joined by Dr. Riles.
Good evening, Madam Chair Jackson Lett, Madam Vice Chair Jones, board members, and Dr. Riles, and Superintendent Chesser. Happy Bosses Day. Let's jump over here. Share some good news.
Good evening, everyone. The last time I was here, I talked about the possibility and was urging your acceptance of me submitting the grant to the Arthur M. Blank Foundation for the grant to support our athletic expansion. Proud to announce that as a 503 on yesterday, we were awarded the grant. So as I discussed before, the totality of the grant would be the 1.5 million with 85 being a part of what we would be responsible for. It is a part of that engagement and development that we will be expanding some of those sport opportunities for our students. Their participation numbers have been down, in addition to expanding some of the sport offerings of some up and coming programs that we can now initiate and have those initial years funded by the grant, and then we support those opportunities for our young student athletes. Thank y'all for your support.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Thank you so much. So that's that action item. Thank you, Dr. Rouse, for all your hard work, a lot of hard work. And we were patiently waiting all day yesterday, but it finally got here. All right, let me get back to the first one I have is the architect for the administrative office over at 954 Main Street. Superintendent will recommend that the Rockdale County Board of Education approve the selection of the firm of Howard S. Baker Associates as the architect for the repainting of Peaks Chapel Elementary School. This is contingent. Hold on, let me on the right one. Let's go back to the re-roofing, all right? The scope of the project and the participation of this is for the Raymond Engineering, Georgia-based Inc. to help us with this as the architect. The scope of the project is the selection of the, helped us in the selection of the construction company, the quality assurance inspections during the re-roofing project, and the sign off on the completed project. And this work will cost about $41,332.64. Why? The age, the roof leaks, and major deterioration of the current roof determine the need for the re-roofing project. The site's roof consists of a sloped roofing structure and also a flat roofing area. The current 30-plus-year-old foam roofing product was applied over the old roofing structure. These old roofing coverings will be removed as part of this re-roofing. That we will use TPO on it. Again, once we have the contractor chosen, we will be back with action items later on for that work, but this is for our architect, Raymond Engineering firm. The second one is the paint. Superintendent will recommend the Howard S. Baker and Associates as architect for the pre-painting of Peaks Chapel. This is contingent upon approval of the contract by the Superintendent General Counsel. Our department strives to repaint facilities on a 7-year rotation schedule. This school is scheduled to be repainted during the summer of 2026. Regularly scheduled maintenance helps to preserve the district facilities and creates a continuously improved environment for our students and staff. We usually try to do 2 to 3 schools every summer. As you know, Flat Shoals Elementary School is under construction and renovation, as well as Barksdale Elementary School, and both those are being completely repainted. So that'll be our 3 schools for this current school year. Last month, I brought you a action item for Memorial Middle School's hot water heater. And so this evening, I'm asking you to rescind that action item. The superintendent will recommend that you rescind the September 18, 2025 action item, recommend the selection of Roseman Plumbing. Bottom line is Roseman Plumbing realized that they had not budgeted a significant component of this project that involved an access point and they gratefully accept the offer to withdraw their bid. They are currently working with us on other projects. So instead of pushing this through the courts as we could to push them in a bind, we just accepted their pulling out. So we asked you guys to rescind that. And we went to the next one. The next action item is the next contractor that was in line that did participate in the regular RFP processing, bid processing that happened back on September 8th, 2025. So tonight, we recommend that the Rockdale County Board of Education approve the selection of Paulson Cheek Mechanical as contractor of choice to replace the Memorial Middle School hot water heater purchasing under BOE policy for the sum of $257,350 as recommended by the facilities due to the age, major leakage, and impending possible rupture. Bids were secured on September 8th, 2025 at 10. The scope of the project is still the same, involves removal of all the current equipment, modifying electrical piping, fluid piping for the installation of the new unit, installing necessary safety equipment for the boiler and mechanic room to assure it meets codes and passes inspection, and performing startup procedures to ensure that the system functions correctly, including a quality control inspection thereafter. $257,350 from East Blast. Any questions? Thank you so much, board.
Thank you, Mr. Budensee.
Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Chairwoman Jackson Lett, Vice Chair Jones, Board, Superintendent, Cabinet, members of the committee, and guests. It's great to see all of you this evening. I'd like to share a couple of action items with you and also talk about our Microsoft operating system that we have. So for years, since we've been, since prior to becoming one-to-one, Rockdale County Schools has chosen to be a Microsoft district. We are completely Windows-based. We're completely Microsoft-based with all that we do. Our servers all run Windows operating system, and currently all of our laptops and desktops that you provide our community to use run Windows 11 as well. Windows provides us with lots of applications that are used by both staff and students on a daily basis, including those that you see here on the screen. I'm sure many of you have used these applications in, throughout different opportunities that you have. I'd like to call out that OneNote is one that you might not be familiar with. It is an interactive notebook that students and staff do use throughout. I'm sure you've used the rest of these as well. OneDrive is a storage location that staff and students can use. SharePoint is a place where we share documents through Teams in secure ways. Teams, as you know, is what we use when there's independent learning days or for meetings where we students and staff can have synchronous communication with one another. Sway and Forms are also available in order to collect data from students through forms. There are some behind the scenes things that Microsoft provides that are really critical for us in Rockdale County Schools. First is dealing with email advanced threat protection. We do have anti-phishing and anti-spam policies along with anti-malware policies. It scans all attachments for malware as it comes in. And if you've ever noticed in your email, if you've copied those links, when you copy them from one place to another, you don't see the actual link, right? It has this long thread. That's because it's a safe link that Microsoft contains because it scans those. And when you get an email with a link, Microsoft actually continues to scan those links for 72 hours because sometimes bad actors will go and change the link after it hits your inbox as a way to try to compromise accounts. And so Microsoft helps us with that as well. You can see here that any given school day, we have more than 137,000 logins to our Microsoft. So it's continuously used by all of our stakeholders here in the school. We do have multi-factor authentication through Microsoft that allows for us to verify. It helps us with identity verification of who's trying to access, along with conditional access policies, and we can certainly talk about those a little bit more. It does provide us with Intune as well. Intune helps us to manage the devices and monitor for protection. So it's a way for us to help push out different applications to devices, pull off applications, run scripts, set policies to ensure that students have what they need in a safe operating environment as well. And then it provides us with Microsoft Defender for endpoints. So each of our devices that we have actually has a Defender for endpoint on it, which then reports back to us as to what's happening on that device in terms of a security perspective. And so that's one of the dashboards that's available to us. So this action item I bring to you tonight is a 3-year renewal for our Microsoft suite, including some of the, including the security things I've mentioned, and then there's some additionals as well that I can certainly share with the board. And so the recommendation is that the superintendent will recommend that the Rockdale County Board of Education approve the purchase of Microsoft volume licenses from Crayon Software Experts LLC. The licensing agreement will be for 3 years, with the first year at $467,555.89, second year at $467,555.89, and the third year at $467,555.89. The superintendent approves the proposed purchase to be made under the standardization exception to board regulation DJER to maintain the quality of services with our existing partners, transition overhead, and you'll notice to maintain the current pricing for the next 3 years so that stays stable for us. Rationale is that Microsoft provides a robust suite of office tools for our students and staff. Additionally, it provides world-class security, authentication, auditing, reporting, licensing, device management, and data management tools. Financial impact is described here. The next thing I'd like to bring to you is Flat Shoals. You know that Flat Shoals, you've approved some fantastic renovations to that school, and they are going to enjoy those for many years to come. With those renovations, it is one of the first schools that we've put an EPIC system into that school. And the EPIC system, as you know, is used for both classrooms so that teachers can record their lessons and use them for self-reflection, or share them with students, allow other teachers to see them in the class, share them with their coaches. It also allows for the security features in the classroom so that all teachers and staff have the lanyards that they push in case of an emergency, and send those alerts directly to our school safety department. So we would like to do some upgrades with the Flat Shoals EPIC system as well, so that it will function in all the new ways that is possible. So it includes new teacher microphones to amplify their voice. Also, I didn't say that part, so that students can better hear their teacher as well. This specific upgrade that I bring to you brings a new server with it, new cameras in all of the rooms, new classroom audio and amplifiers. We're going to reuse the existing speakers. We're reusing a lot of things in here that we can reuse so that we can cut down the cost of this a little bit. We are adding some speakers where you cannot hear to improve the intercom paging bells, including outside. So in case of an emergency, you can hear from all these different components what needs to happen in that case. They do now offer door sensors to exterior doors. We'll be adding those so that if a door is open for a period of time that should not be open during that time period of the day, that will also alert the school safety department. And again, we are keeping existing speakers and all of the wiring for that, and we're keeping the existing classroom call buttons in addition to the lanyards that teachers wear. There's a call button that can be pressed on the wall in the room, and we'll keep those existing call buttons. There's not really a reason to replace those. So the superintendent will recommend that the Rockdale County Board of Education approve the EPIC system upgrades necessary for the safety of our students from audio enhancement for $352,729.66 using TIPS TAPS purchasing contract number 220105. This is again due to the renovations at Flat Shoals Elementary School, new hardware upgrades to the EPIC system, and will provide for greater visibility and safety while also allowing teachers to continue to record their classes and using the classroom cameras. The financial impact is $352,729.66, and this has been planned as part of our eSPLOST. Lastly, I have one more action item around the EPIC system. So when the EPIC system was first installed, we didn't understand as a district the importance of making sure that there was good speaker coverage in areas like the kitchens and cafeterias, so that in case of an emergency, people can hear all of those announcements. So I have provided the board with a spreadsheet of the specifics of this action item, so you can see exactly the schools and the number of speakers being installed. In this case, but the superintendent will recommend that the Rockdale County Board of Education approve the EPIC system district cafeteria installations necessary for the safety of students and staff from audio enhancement for $57,638.08 using the TIPS TAPS purchasing contract number 220105. The rationale again is that it was not originally installed in all cafeterias and some other areas. This does include necessary equipment to correct this by adding 61 speakers, 9 volume control panels, 4 gym wall speakers, and 4 cameras as indicated on that provided worksheet that I gave to you. Financial impact is $57,000, $57,638.08 as planned from SPLOST. Any questions?
Michael, for my edification, right? On the Microsoft package, you talked about the, of course, the tools that we get from Microsoft, but also the security features. And so are we, there's a lot of bad actors out there that's continuously doing that. Do we have to invest in external, in any other system that is doing external and internal penetration testing?
Yes, we do. And I'm so glad you asked about that. If we could save that for the executive session right after this, I would appreciate it.
Okay,
Because that does
perfect.
have to deal with our safety and security of the district.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rojan. And Madam Chair, if you'll just indulge me just for a couple more minutes. I know we've had a lot of information, but I do want to wrap up tonight's presentations by just reminding our board that we did recently announce our graduation rate for our class of 2025. And I'm thrilled to share that this year's rate of 89.52% is an all-time high for our school system, and it is an increase from last year's rate of 88.75%. So we are thrilled with the upward trajectory of that. But as our graduation rate was released, so were our SAT results. And so we did share that publicly with our community as well. So for our class of 2025, our composite score went up. It was last year 980 and it went up to 995. So we are definitely celebrating that. Our ACT results were released this week as well. And our composite score rose from 17.6 to 18.2 as compared to the previous year. And so we are seeing some upward trends in all of those data points as we continue to monitor the progress of our students. I'll also say that this week on Tuesday and Wednesday, we had several of our high schools students attend the Infinite Scholars College Fair at New Birth. And so all of our children had the opportunity to meet with college representatives from a variety of colleges from across the country and within the state. And so they were able to complete those applications and then actually receive some on-site admissions and scholarships. And so what was reported to me is that our students walked away with a total of $5,582,803 worth of scholarships by attending. So we are over the moon excited about the fact that they are receiving these offerings early on. But I'll go on to say that our district counseling program under the lead of Ms. Tanya Cobb held an additional session, a local visit with South Carolina State University recently. And in that 1 month of collaborating with South Carolina State, our students have been awarded an additional $2,044,000 in scholarships. So when you combine those two amounts, you can see that our students are on a roll in terms of receiving those dollars that they need to go on to that college arena. But tonight, while we've been here, I think you heard Ms. Fallon mention that we were hosting a FAFSA night over at the Rockdale Career Academy, and that allowed our seniors and their families to go in and get that direct support. We talked about Naviance and some of those other programs, but they were able to go on site at RCA this evening to get help with those financial aid applications, including that FAFSA and some of those other college funding forms, which are needed in order to help our students to get those necessary steps in pursuing those post-secondary opportunities. So I won't stop there because what I'll tell you is, in addition to those pieces, and I know we talked about our Super Scholarship Saturday that we held recently, the counseling team and our Community and Student Support Division, they have also scheduled 2 important dual enrollment information nights. So one of which is next Tuesday, and those times are 4:30, 5:30, and 6:30 p.m. Also at Rockdale Career Academy next Tuesday. And if for our families who cannot attend next Tuesday, there is an additional dual enrollment night, which is slated for Wednesday, October the 29th at 7 p.m. And that will be a virtual session. And so we are encouraging all of our current 10th and 11th grade students and their families to attend that session if they are interested in earning that college credit while they're still in high school. But while we're talking about college and career readiness, I'll also say that next Wednesday, our students in grades 8 through 11 are also scheduled to take the PSAT. And we know the PSAT is an important benchmark in helping our students think about those college entrance pieces and those requirements. And so lastly, board, what I'll say is I want to thank you for engaging in our board retreat that was held right before our fall break. I think those were meaningful sessions and good time for us to collaborate and also learn from our GSBA facilitator, Dr. King. We talked a little bit earlier about celebrating your recognition, your exemplary board recognition for the 10th consecutive year. And we also want to acknowledge you when we talk about Bosses Day today. So thank you for being an outstanding governance team. And I do want to close tonight by thanking
It is now 9:37 and the board has come back into open section. Do I hear a motion to conclude the meeting? A motion to conclude the meeting has been made by Vice Chair Janie Jones and second by Ms. Akita Palmer. All in favor? Any opposed? The meeting is concluded at 9:38.